You are listening to the Toxic Mold Podcast with Steve Worsley, the toxic mold expert and your number one source for mold consulting and mitigation in the USA. Let's dive into a brand new episode.
Before we get started on this episode, here's a not-so-short disclaimer. While all attempts have been made to verify the content provided in this podcast, neither the podcaster nor the producers assume any responsibility for errors, omissions, or alternative interpretations of the issues discussed here. All information stated in this podcast is the opinion of Steve Worsley. Steve Worsley is a mold specialist with over 25 years of experience in the construction and mold industry. The Toxic Mold Podcast is for information sharing purposes only. The views expressed are those of the podcaster and his alone. These views should not be taken as expert instruction or commands. While there may be references to medical conditions and symptoms, all podcast episodes are the opinion of Steve Worsley, and any medical questions or concerns shall be addressed with the appropriate licensed medical professional or professionals. As the podcaster refers to different mold types, please be aware that Steve Worsley is not a microbiologist, and questions concerning mold specifics should be answered by the appropriate professional. Steve isn't, nor does he offer any legal advice. For any legal advice, you must speak to a lawyer. The listener is 100% responsible for his or her own actions. You can check out Steve's books on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and search for author Steve Worsley. You can also take Steve's mold education courses, such as Mold 101 and the Mycotoxin Prevention Kit, by going to cnccontractorservices.com. Again, check out his mold education courses at cnccontractorservices.com. Now, let's get to the episode.
Hello, you're listening to the Toxic Mold Podcast with myself, Steve Worsley, and we have my wife, Cassandra, again. We haven't had a guest in a while, have we?
No, we probably need to get a guest on soon.
Yeah. As our listeners know, it's a lot of work. And
It is.
It's interesting, though. I just started creating a list today of potential people to bring on. And as our listeners know, I don't want our podcast to turn into everybody coming on advertising their company. But on the other hand, it's very helpful to get different people.
And I think it's also going to be helpful to get mold stories from people who've lived with mold, have survived mold, gotten through it. It'll be helpful for other people to hear the stories of those who've made it to the other side of their mold story.
Yeah, and what's interesting, it just leads into today's topic, is getting rid of toxic mold in ductwork. One of the people I put on the list is someone with an organization called NADCA.
What does that stand for?
National Air Duct Cleaners Association.
Oh, I see. Now, when you say duct work, what does that mean?
Your HVAC ducts. Not ducts, ducts with a C. D-U-C-T-S. Duct.
So this is just specific to HVAC, because when I think of like the laundry room and the washer and dryer, isn't that cord behind the washer or the dryer a duct?
Well, that would be a duct, yeah. Exhaust duct.
Okay, but you're talking about HVAC duct.
Yeah, and we can touch on that a little bit too, as far as dryer ducts and exhaust fan ducts.
Well, the reason why I think about it is because nobody that I know of ever thinks about mold in any duct work. Like nobody ever thinks, could there be in my dryer duct? Nobody ever thinks about that. They're just like, no, that doesn't happen there.
And if it was in your dryer duct, the likeliness of that getting into your home and contaminating your air quality is very, very minimal.
Okay.
Because the only time that duct even has air flowing through it is when your dryer is on. Correct. And it's pushing it all outside.
Correct. Whereas with HVAC duct work, when you're running the AC, when you're running the heat, like it's running all of the time.
Even when it's not running.
Yeah.
It's open.
It's open. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
But going back to the dryer duct, since we kind of touched on that a little bit, for our listeners, you should have your dryer ducts cleaned every year. It's one of the leading causes of fires in homes.
Really? Why does it cause a fire?
All the lint that gets built up.
Oh.
And if your dryer malfunctions, so you have the fuel for the fire, all you need is an ignition. And think about the heat that gets created from your dryer.
This is why we had that conversation the other day about why in Europe and other places everything was built of stone.
Yeah.
Because literally you could just burn up a whole village with one match.
Yeah. So for our listeners, I don't know what brought the subject up, but you have a client that's in Scotland.
Yes.
That is probably got some mold concerns.
Yes.
And we talked about how, for the most part, their buildings are built with stone or masonry.
Yeah, they're pretty ancient.
But when we watch things like Outlander and what's the other one? Seven
The Last
Kings.
Kingdom?
Yes. You could go in and burn a whole town down because, back in the day, you just lit it on fire.
Correct, which is why most of the time the town lived behind the stone fortress.
Exactly.
Because you had to get in the fortress to be able to burn the whole thing down.
And back then, what we're referring to is when they were just built with wood.
Exactly. Which is coming back to this whole duct thing. If you don't understand what your fire hazards are, or what your mold hazards are for that matter, you don't actually know when to look, what to look at, and how often to look at it. So when you say you should check your ducts in your dryer once a year.
Well, you shouldn't check them. You should have them cleaned.
You should clean them. That's because if you don't, it could cause
a fire.
A fire. Huh.
Which brings up a subject, we'll just touch on it right now. How often should our listeners get their HVAC ducts cleaned? I always say every 2 years.
Every 2 years. Okay.
And for the most part, it's depending. For the most part, it's $600-$700, even less. But
and is that something that when people buy a house, it's disclosed the last time
probably
previous?
Not,
so
no.
then, if you're buying a house, you probably should get your ducts cleaned the first year you're in it.
Ironically, even in new construction,
really?
I recommend my clients have the ducts cleaned. Because think about it.
Wow.
The HVAC company comes in, or the tinners, they put all the duct work. Think of all the debris and sawdust and crap that falls down in the registers. And then they just slap the cover on it and call it good.
Well, what's interesting about all of that is in new construction, nobody ever tells you that. And most of the time, the only thing people think about with HVAC is replace the filter.
Yeah.
Not duct work.
Yes. So kind of backtracking a little bit for our listeners, the reason we're talking about this is one of the most common areas of contamination, is probably the best way to say it, is in the furnace and in the coil, the air handler, the duct work. Most people don't think about that.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about it. Some people just never think about it. They could have bought the home brand new 15 years ago and they're like, yeah, we have it cleaned professionally every other week or once a week. We don't need the ducts cleaned. Well, then I send my bore scope down the duct and you got all sorts of stuff
going on. You got all sorts of stuff. Well, and how would anybody know that mold was somewhere in their HVAC system?
Well, you'd have to have it inspected.
And is getting it clean, your HVAC ducts cleaned every year, the same as having it inspected every other year? Is it the same?
No. For the most part, your duct cleaners. So your duct cleaners are typically, and I say typically because it's always different. For the most part, they're usually like carpet cleaning companies.
Okay.
Stanley Steamer does it. A lot of companies do it, but they're not going to technically inspect. They're going to inspect right what they're looking at. But for the most part, I can't speak for companies, I guess, but I've never heard of an HVAC company that sends bore scopes down their ducts.
So then if you're supposed to get your ducts cleaned every other year, how often are you supposed to do an inspection of them?
I say twice a year.
Twice a year?
At least, at the minimum, every fall.
Okay. At least once a year, preferably twice a year. And I'm assuming an IEP is the one doing that inspection?
No, the HVAC company.
Oh, the HVAC. Okay.
It all depends, but someone that does that, an IEP, that's not my expertise.
Okay, so it would be an HVAC. So you could have the same HVAC person every other year clean the ducts, and then somebody else from their company every fall do the inspection. Yes. Okay.
It's different, like in Wyoming, depending on where you live, like the gas company will come out and do it. It's like a maintenance thing. So they'll clean everything up, they'll inspect everything, make sure everything's in working order. When I was doing it, it was only it was less than $100.
Okay.
Now, they didn't send bore scopes down the duct work or anything like that, but they would do routine inspections, making sure the condensate line looks good. They would inspect the coil, all that.
So that's an inspection.
Right, but it's not an IEP.
No, it's a HVAC person who does the inspection. So, and you said every other year you should get your ductwork cleaned for HVAC. So when somebody is getting it cleaned, what does the cleaning process look like?
So that's the important part. We have companies, and I haven't seen it as much lately because most of Facebook users have caught on to it, but there's so many scammers on Facebook. But there are actual companies that claim to clean them, and then they don't seal the registers. They don't hook it up to a vacuum or negative air system, and they literally just blow crap everywhere throughout your home.
Oh, boy.
So what's important is they come in, and they usually have magnets, or it's this like sticky film, but they'll put them over all the registers. They'll go to your air handler, so this is your furnace. They'll cut a big hole, and if you have it done routinely, it's already there. But they'll cut a hole in the ductwork. They hook their vacuum system up to it. Their vacuum system's typically a truck.
Okay.
The top of the truck literally opens up, and you see these bags come out.
Huh.
It's a pretty cool setup. So it's got, I don't know how much suction it is, but it's pretty massive. So they hook their duct or vacuum to the air handler or the return air duct. And then they go, each register, they'll go to the register, they'll pop it off. They usually use what's called a whip. So they hook an air attachment to it, and it's just on an air hose. And they start right at the register, and this whip like goes through and cleans the duct. And they just keep sending it further and further into the duct. Okay. So if you think about it, in our office where we're recording, that's where the whip would be. You're pushing air from this register, and obviously it goes into the duct work. Then over in our mechanical room, you have a vacuum. So it's pulling everything.
Okay.
So it's all on a sealed system.
Okay.
And then they would cover this duct. Then they go into the family room, pull that cover off, do the same thing.
Okay, so they would go room by room?
Exactly.
And how long typically does it take to do all this duct work, depending on the size of the house, obviously?
Yes. I would say, so the last time I was there in person watching it was when we did a project up in Rexburg. And it was like a 5,000 square foot home. And they were there maybe 3 hours.
Okay, that's not bad.
And I didn't ask what it cost, but so yeah, it's not something that it's not an all day or 2 day thing. But the important thing is, going back to your question, make sure it's done on a sealed system.
Okay.
Because think about it. If, let's say, the register in the family room wasn't covered, even with the vacuum at the furnace, once they start blowing this out, where do you think the air goes? The family room's right next to us.
Exactly. It goes right to
It'll
the next
just blow
room.
it all
so
over in the
room.
room.
Passing it everywhere
Yeah,
rather than...
it's a mess.
Okay, so you need to do it in a sealed system. What is your recommendation for people who are listening to this and they're like, I don't ever remember getting the ducts cleaned in my house in the time I've been in it?
Just call and get one scheduled.
Okay.
In Colorado, there's a big company, and I think they're called Monster. Like I said, Stanley Steamer does it.
Okay.
There's a bunch of companies that do it. Just make sure they're NADCA certified.
Okay,
or they follow those protocols.
Okay.
That's important.
So you want to make sure they're either NADCA certified or they follow the NADCA protocols.
You want to make sure it's done on a closed system or vacuum system.
So what else is your call to action for people?
You just said it to them. If you've never had your ducts cleaned, go get them cleaned.
Yeah.
And if you do that routinely, congratulations. Most people don't. Make sure you change out your filters on your return air every 3 months, sooner if needed.
Wow. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. It's important, and it's your air quality.
Yep.
So we appreciate all you listeners. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you're concerned about toxic mold and the health of your home, mycotoxin testing could be your next step. Visit CNC Contractor Services to discover how easy it is to test for harmful mycotoxins, compounds released by toxic molds. These comprehensive testing kits can help you identify hidden threats in your air, dust, and surfaces. When you purchase mycotoxin testing from Steve Worsley, you can also opt to get expert testing and interpretation directly from Steve. Take control of your indoor air quality today. Check out mycotoxin testing at cnccontractorservices.com.